Cool. Hey, welcome to the show today. My guest today is writer, actress, and artist Sara Polton. Is that how you say it, Sara Polton?
All right. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being on. I really appreciate your time. Yeah, no, I saw on the Twitter, your art, like your website with your art, your show. That I saw the audio. Stay the night, the audio drama.
Yeah. It's funny. Like my writing and my podcast are like super dark, scary, gory, nasty, gritty horror. And then I like paint cute little like ocean paintings.
No, that was actually one of the things I was gonna say. Like, we need something that takes us out of that space. I was thinking, like, do you typically write horror? Is that like your go-to? Do you enjoy it more? And then, like, to get out of that mindset, you draw these serene tennis ball on the tennis court, or
Yeah.
surfing.
That's a really good question. I have always had a fascination with the macabre, so I'm super into horror, but thriller. I'm more of like a thriller suspense writer. But for Stay the Night, I ended up syncing up with a childhood friend of mine, Chris Cortner, who's like Emmy nominated editor,
Wow.
really good pal of mine. Like we're like family, and he was like, "I want to write a screenplay," and I was like, "Well, I'm literally a writer, so what? Like, let's just do it." And so we settled on horror because there's some competitions we wanted to enter, and horror is just really fun to write because there's a lot going on. It doesn't get boring. If it gets
Mhm.
boring, you're doing it wrong, right? And then for paintings, the tennis ball paintings was a collaboration. Another friend of mine owns a company called Fuzzy Yellow Balls, and it's like
Great name.
YouTube, like masterclass, but just tennis. So, and he was like, "Hey, you want to paint me some like tennis balls, and I'll like email my crew." And so I was like, "Sure." Like that's an easy thing to paint. Like I got that down. So that's kind of how that came about.
No, and I was gonna ask too, like with your, so as far as like writing, because I know you've written this full length, like this is a full length, basically movie that's been turned into an audio drama,
Yeah.
fully produced, everything. When did you, as you know, because you're fairly around my age, I'm 36, 37. I
Yeah.
forget. I
Yep.
stopped counting after 32.
Right.
It doesn't matter anymore. When did you really like take your writing seriously? Like at what age? You maybe as a kid you were writing, drawing, and then you were like, you know what, I want to do this. This is like, I want to do this. Make it a, more of a habit, like where I sit down, write instead of just doing it for fun. Take it more
Yeah.
seriously.
I think like I it's funny. I don't my writing teacher in college told me like you're not the best writer in this class, but in 10 years you're going to be the only one still writing. And he is in fact right cuz like I'm still doing it even more than 10 years later. I've always taken writing seriously. I've always like been like kind of delusional, like I'm going to be, Stephen King or Margaret Atwood or whatever. So I'm always writing. But here's the thing, it wasn't good
Yes.
until like a few years ago. And now I've gotten pretty good at it. I've always taken it seriously. But the thing about writing is it's done in private versus like singing or like a more performance type of thing. So it's funny because art's very new to me and everyone's like, "Oh, that's what you should be doing." You're like, "No, I swear." Like I've got this writing thing down, guys. I've worked really hard at it. Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between something. I'm not even saying that's a weird, odd motivation. Like, oh, you're not the best at it, but you're gonna keep doing it. Uh, I'll say
Yeah,
there's
I
some
know.
things. People are good at things doesn't mean they want to do them. Like, you may be the best corn shucker in the world.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean you want to shuck corn for the rest of your life.
true.
There are passions and then skills.
True.
Uh,
And to be
mhm.
fair to that professor, when he said that, he had read like half of my work and he didn't read the ending. And once he got to the ending of it and he saw the plot twist, he was like, "Okay, this is good."
but then
I was
it
like, "I'm telling you."
But then it's never a strive for perfection, especially like now with things becoming new, or what's old is new,
Yeah,
especially with horror or even any
yeah.
bit of entertainment. I was gonna ask you, like, yes, since I see you're more leaning in towards the horror and the thriller of your writing. When did that hit you, like, as a kid? What was scary to you as a child, and what kind of inspires you? What's the benchmark fear like as a child when you were growing up?
I mean, as a kid, I was reading Goosebumps, right? And,
Mhm,
was it, like, scary stories to tell in the dark? Like, I was always, like, into the spooky stories, and then by the time I was, like, 13, 14, I was reading, like, The Shining, which is a little much for a 14-year-old. But yeah, like, what scares you? It's funny, that's how we started with Stay the Night, because I was like, "Chris, what have you been through that's scary?" And he was like, "I stayed at this Airbnb, and man, it was so scary, like, I thought we were gonna die." And so I was like, "That's a good story." And so, like, our characters are on this road trip, and they stay at a bed and breakfast, right? And,
mhm.
like, the owners have no intentions of letting them leave, so I don't know. Yeah, I think it's good to, like, work your everyday fears out, in the story. And for me in Stay the Night, the character, she has a miscarriage, and then all the other characters are asking them, "Oh, well, when are you gonna have children?" And they don't know the history, right? And,
Mhm.
like, for me at the time, like, everyone asking me when I'm gonna have kids was, like, very scary because 'cause you're like, "Ah, like, sleep," like, that's such an invasive question, I don't know how to answer it. Um,
No,
so,
yeah, it's
yeah.
I and it must be I couldn't even even, like, empathize with that question because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
a man, so I couldn't really, like, understand the fears going through that. I mean, I do have nieces, so I kinda, like, half, understand it or a
Do
third
people ever, like,
understand.
pressure you or, like, ask that of you?
I think it's more of a on a woman, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it's, me, no, not me
No?
personally, nah, but these genes, I don't wanna pass them on. They're too,
Fair enough.
I
Fair
wanna
enough.
I wanna end the bloodline here, at least, with myself. My nieces, they're great, they're perfect,
That's great. I love it.
I was gonna ask too, in not to get too personal, but I see on the Twitter, and you don't have to answer now. I know you did just have a child,
I did.
right?
Yeah.
Which is great. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
scary in itself, having a whole person inside of your body.
Yeah, yeah. It was well, I had a very unique situation. I ended up giving birth 3 months early, so I
Oh,
almost
even
died,
scarier.
my son almost died, and now we're, like, doing really, really well. So things are good now. It's funny because people are already asking me, "Well, when are you gonna have another kid?" And you're
Oh
like, "Dude,
Lord.
can we all calm down for a second? Like, that could kill me. Like, we gotta figure some things out first.
Yeah, slow
Let's just
down.
be happy we got the one for right now."
No,
Yeah.
that's great. No,
Thank
congratulations.
you, thank
I
you.
was gonna say, like, let's say before and after that, do have your fears changed now? Because I know, like, me before, I've had whatever fears, scary corners of the night or whatever. But then after having my nieces in my life, now I get scared with movies like The Lovely Bones or
Oh,
Prisoners. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Where it's like missing kids. Like, has your fears changed now in life? Now that, like,
Oh my god, I am so traumatized. It's funny, I don't know if I could listen to Stay the Night now, and I wrote it. Yeah, I can't watch anything, like, right now with, like, a lot of blood or gore or, like, violence because I'm like or in a hospital because 'cause I'm like, that is I have lived too much of that
hmm
too recently.
hmm
Although I'm kinda itching to watch Roadhouse, but I'm like, I don't know if I can even handle that level of violence." But I think
I'm
that's
about to
kinda
say that's
silly.
like a action movie, right? But I've never
Yeah,
seen even the original one. I've never seen it.
yeah, yeah. I think I yeah, anything with, like, a lot of blood right now, I am completely nauseated by, but I think also I can probably write gorier stuff than I can stomach from other people, and I don't know why that is.
Well, it's different, I guess, when it's in that context. But
Yeah.
yeah, I imagine, like, now, like like we were saying with the children in or your child in your life and having lived through that. Of
Yeah,
course, your
I
fears are like different.
if a character's pregnant in a TV show, I immediately turn it off. I'm like, "Get away from me. I can't look at this." Even if it's like I was watching The Office and, like, spoiler alert, Pam, gives birth, and I was like, "Skip, skip, like, no, thank you. I cannot look at this."
Oh my gosh. No, I was a C-section baby. So I
Oh,
was
nice.
more, yeah, yeah. We all were all, so we were more extracted than actually given birth to. So I always say that. What was I gonna ask here? Does the oncoming onslaught of AI, right?
Oh.
And it with the writing and stuff, does it do you have any fears of it? And are they like irrational, like the world ending, or are they more rational, like taking over the creative space and making things? I wouldn't say more. Let's say, what are your fears? Like, you think it's gonna be more difficult for your work to get out there, or just the space being flooded with?
I do voice work, I do voice acting on the side, and one of my clients, suddenly doesn't need me, and I'm listening to the replacement, and it sounds really bad, and my inside knowledge tells me they're not in any of the studios. So where are they getting this new talent, right?
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it's AI. So I think I've already lost tens of thousands of dollars to AI. I personally think AI is absolute trash. I think it's terrible. I think the quality of the art, of the writing, of the vocal stuff is awful. And it will get better.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I I don't understand why we're using AI to do art and not things that suck. Like, why are we not using AI to load my dishwasher, to buy my groceries, to make me dinner, to well, actually, I like cooking, but, like, to I don't know, just do tasks no one wants to do. Like, why is
Yeah.
AI not picking up my
Chores.
dog's poop?
Hmm.
Why am I, like, losing artistic work that people are so much better at?
Hmm.
So I'm vehemently against AI. And if anybody out there uses it as a shortcut, like, don't do it. Like, if you're thinking about it, just like skip it. If you want to use AI for your cover art or something, like, there's probably a graphic designer you can pay $50 to who would make you something 1,000 times better. Um,
Yeah, and then you'd
yeah,
support the art, like
yeah.
the businesses, because yeah, these AI, they just pull from all this other art, like what, like mix it together in sort of a cauldron.
Oh, it's so bad. I have an actual fear of AI art. Like, it's so cursed looking to me. I'm genuinely afraid that some of the, like, characters are gonna, like, crawl out of my computer and kill me. I've gotta write something about this. If you look up and I caution you because this genuinely terrifies me, Lobos, it's like this AI art mythical creature, and every time you, like, type her in, she comes up looking, like, more and more disgusting and scary, and I have lost so much sleep over Lobos. I'm so afraid of her. So, yeah, AI art is just creepy looking. I don't know, they gotta get rid of the creepy factor.
Like if we are okay with, like, not okay with it, but like have it its own category, right? Because you have like actual art or
Yeah,
film, and then of course you could have the person who can only afford using AI to make a movie or whatever. But I think it's its own category, because AI
interesting.
does generate some unique things, I'll say,
Sure.
but a lot of it, yeah, like it's a tool. Like it's only as
Yeah.
good as the person inputting whatever, and yeah, it should just be used. I don't know, like as a tool. It's a tool. Like use it
Yeah,
to be,
I could
use it to
see
do
it working for,
math.
like, resumes or templates or corporate emails or something, but even those are it's not there yet. It's
Yeah,
really bad.
no,
I think it's gonna
no.
get there, though. It's gonna only get better, for sure.
Yeah, and that's scary to me too, is that it gets better so quickly, because even just a year ago, it was like weird generated movies that looked scary, not even real, and then
Yeah.
now they're doing like Sora AI, directing videos that still look weird, but
Yeah.
the time frame that it was, is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, anybody out there, just if you have the opportunity or whatever, like, there's probably someone who will do it for whatever you need for like a little bit of money or even for free. But I always try to pay artists
Yeah.
even if it's not a lot. Like, um, and it's just so much. Everything you're gonna get is gonna be so much better, at least right now.
Well, then it's always good to network and build
Yeah.
the human connection too. We're losing that.
That's totally how I get my work is, like, just making friends or networking, or you help someone out, and then like 8 years later, they're a rock star doing something really cool, and they're like, "Oh, do you want this gig?" And you're like, "What?" "Yeah." Like, "Thanks." So yeah, definitely like working within communities of people, and I definitely try to like, if I like someone, I'll wanna work with them again, and that happens a lot too.
No, it's always good to we're really losing that as far as humanity, the connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as far as like currently the state of entertainment, as far as maybe writing, art, even not even having to deal with AI or excluding it from this argument, how do you feel it is like with movies? Because I feel like the Hollywood is like rehashing a lot of ideas,
Yeah.
some like okay in a good way, maybe like Dune, some in a bad way. Of course, like a lot of things.
Yeah.
How do you feel it is? Like your opinion is it only going to get better or worse?
I think something's gonna have to change. So, it used to be that when you bought VHS tapes and DVDs, that, if a movie didn't really do well in the box office, it would kind of later become a smash hit and make a lot of money, with DVD sales or VHS sales. But now because of streaming, that's not an option. So, like, a movie has to be a blockbuster. So that's why every movie is like a Marvel movie or an epic or something like really huge, because if they've got to make that money back, as opposed to like a really weird movie that was like The Big Lebowski probably wouldn't get made now, right? And we would miss out on that, or
Uh-huh.
whatever weird movie you can think of that you like that makes no sense. That would have been great to have on DVD and you'd watch 1,000 times. Those movies aren't getting made now. So I don't know what the future looks like in terms of streaming or where we're going with it, but that's kind of what I see now. Um, is just a lot of it's just a lot of things have to be a blockbuster or a sure hit or a remake or something, because people aren't going to take a chance on something new and different. But there are indie movies like out there getting made. I think you just have to look for them.
Well, I love too how now it's like, oh, a small budget movie and it's like 10 million or something.
I know. Oh my god. That's why we wrote Stay the Night, because we were like, "You could do this for $100,000," which is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for a movie. Like, it's got
Oh
kind of
no.
one big location, like, you could bootstrap this. Like,
Yeah.
full Evil Dead style bootstrap this movie. And that's, like, our hope still, is that this will get made, into, I mean, the dream is for it Stay the Night to be the first movie, and then it become a franchise of survive the night horror movies,
Mm.
similar to, like, Nightmare on Elm Street or, Friday the 13th, or just kind of all of those slasher movies.
Mhm.
That's what we want. That's our vision for Stay the Night.
And no, I heard like the first 2 episodes of it's fully produced, like there's sound effects.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like akin to I know that sounds old, but those old like Lone Ranger audio dramas.
Yeah.
That's all, like it's a real live close your eyes and use your imagination and it fills in everything for you. It's well produced.
Thank you, thank you. My co-writer edited it, and he edits for television, and then my we have a sound engineer, her name's Jess Fenton. She works for the Wall Street Journal now, producing all of their shows, and she's so incredible. She gave us a very big discount on audio engineering, because she was like, "Oh, I'm not even gonna say my rate aloud." We're like, "Yeah, we can't afford you." But she did it for, very cheap for us, and she wrote the music, the intro music, and actually some of the music that you hear throughout, she wrote all of it and performed all of it, and it's just
Mm,
it really, she made it the next level, so when you hear it, it sounds super crisp, and everybody sounds like we recorded it in the same room, but we did it, over Zoom, similar to this.
mhm. No, it's amazing. Yeah, no, I welcome everyone to check it out. I know it's on your website, sarapolton.com, I believe.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
and,
and
yeah,
then
Stay the Night. Any, podcatcher that you listen to, it's gonna be on there. There is already a copycat Stay the Night. There's another Stay the Night, which is how you know you're doing good, that came out after us, which Man, that always happens when you do something,
Uh-huh.
but, this is if you're confused which one to pick, this is the one with, like it's kind of got a purplish hue, and it's my face holding a phone, and there's kind of like a haunted house looking thing. So that's the one to listen to, and it's a good binge. I recommend you finish it, and just when you think, "This can't get any crazier," it does in fact get crazier. So around episode 8, you're like, "What the F am I listening to?" And then it proceeds to get even more insane.
No, and I love it too. It's like nice, short, bite-sized,
Yeah,
like, at the edge of your seat.
yeah,
Hey, here, on the next episode, or,
yeah.
it's just like, oh shoot, you're waiting for it. Lastly here, and I thank you so much for your time. What would you say to like someone who's wanting to write now, write in this world, or do anything creative? With inspiration, maybe like if they want to give up, or if they don't feel like it's not good enough in this.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
never, never, never stop. Never stop making art. The difference between people who are, like, in the game and successful, is they don't stop because there's always gonna be someone better than you, but they might stop writing, they might stop and also it's not a competition. There's a reader for your story, there's a viewer for your art, like, there's someone out there that wants to consume what you're making. So, don't ever be discouraged. The difference between the people I see working professionally in the arts and the people that maybe I went to high school with and like starred in the plays and were so great and so talented. And the people that were maybe the tiny little part are now working professionally because they never gave up. And that's the difference is you just don't stop and you keep getting better and you keep working hard and you work away at it every day. I'm a big fan of micro goals. Like
Hmm.
I wrote a novel. I'm looking for a literary agent. That's my big project right now is I'm reaching out to every agent that is open to querying. So hopefully we will get my novel published, but just write 500 words a day, right? Or like just paint for 20 minutes a day. And it adds up quick. And if you sit down to write 500 words, you might end up writing 3,000. Like you don't know. Every day's going to be different.
Hmm.
But if you just make it a habit, that will really help you get it together and obviously like consume what you're trying to make. So if you're a podcaster, like listen to a lot of podcasts. If you're a writer, like read a lot. Like it'll give you ideas and you can pull things and steal little things and kind of make your own new concoction. And take what you like and make it something new and put your own spin on it. So that's like go do that. Like, don't ever stop. And there may be periods of your life where life is just too crazy and you have to stop. Like, yeah, I wasn't writing like 2 weeks postpartum, right? Like that wasn't happening. But that's
Yeah.
okay. Like take a break and then like get back in the game. Like I'm moving slower than I was before, but I've already like read through my novel and done one last pass. I've already I've queried at least 25 agents and that's been the last like couple of months. So, I got a lot on my plate. Like you can do it. There's just like set aside some time. Think about how much time you're scrolling on your phone, on Instagram, on TikTok, or whatever. Like that time's great, but like just pause, do it. And it'll feel good. It's like going to the gym, which I hate doing. But you feel so much
Yeah.
better after you do it. Not that I'm going to the gym, but you know,
Well, it is a
and you
creative
can
exercise.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that's it. It's so fulfilling. So do it. Don't ever stop. There were much better writers than me in my writing class, and none of them are writing still. Literally none of them. So it's me. So uh Tom DeHaven was correct. I am still writing. I don't know if he loved my writing, but I am still doing it. And I've gotten better and you get better at it. And then you are the best one in the class, right? Because you would have been the best one if you go back in time. So it doesn't matter. Just don't ever stop. And if it's driving you nuts, you can make art about your struggle. Like it's all there.
Mhm.
And live
Yeah,
your
but
life too. Like go live your life and experience things because like the writing I was writing at 15 like, it didn't have any perspective on life, right? Like, now I have a viewpoint. I have things I've been through. I can draw from inspiration, and that'll give me something that'll give my writing a little more juice.
Well, then, I know I've told my nieces because she's asked me before, like, "Oh, I want to create art, but I don't know what people will like." It's like, don't do it for the what you
Yeah.
think people will like. Do it for what you will like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because
Yes.
I'm sure "Stay the Night" you created for yourself. Like, it's something you would enjoy
Yeah.
listening to, so it makes it even more, you know, uh,
Yeah, yeah, we had people be like, "Oh, well, slashers aren't in right now." And you're like, "But by the time this gets made, they might be back." Like, like, who cares? Or I'll bring it back. And then it's funny because a movie called X came out, and it's like the porno version of Stay the Night. It's like if Stay the Night made a porno, like, there's similar tropes, but the characters, like, make a porn, I guess. And it's like, well, there you go. Like, slashers are back. Like, it's all there.
yeah.
And the novel I wrote, it's a vampire novel, and people are like, "Oh, well, vampires are over." I'm like, "They're coming back, man. I'm gonna write what I want to write."
Everything that's old is
Yeah,
new again at a certain point. I don't understand
yeah. Don't
that
worry about
argument.
making what other people like. That's a great advice. Do what
Mhm.
your taste is, because other people will have your taste for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Someone like you said, there's always an audience for something.
Yeah,
Someone out there's gonna like something, and then even if you're just doing it for yourself, like that's just as fulfilling, I believe.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's funny, I was actually talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he's, like, an unbelievable guitarist and singer, and I'm like, when are we performing? Like, where can I see you perform? Like, why
Mhm.
are we getting you not on, like, Instagram, TikTok? Like, you're gonna be famous." He's like, "I don't wanna be known." Alright.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
Fair
Some
enough, dude.
people, no, some people just don't. They want to do it just for themselves.
Yeah,
Like why
I think
not?
that's great too. I was like, "Alright, well, I gotta throw a party, so you tell you to bring your guitar so I can listen." Like,
What, I'm gonna ask one more question since you brought up about Stay the Night about that X movie
yeah.
being like the porno version of it. Do you think a lot of movies, and not just horror, but like action movies, are like what's the word? Like having a crutch on these kinds of things like gore and jump scares because like Stay the Night, you're not visually seeing it, so you can't really you can get jump scared because it's well
Oh,
produced,
there's
the
gonna be some jump
audio.
scares, don't you worry.
Of course, but there's crutches about gore, like the Saw movies with so much gore,
Yeah.
or movies getting dirtier, or like more, I don't know, CGI and more effects. Do you think there's like too much of that, as far as like in today's where that's maybe a crutch, or is it a good thing?
I don't know. I think it depends on the story. It's got to fit the story that's being told, and it's got to make sense for the genre of, like, the subgenre of horror. I personally, it's funny. I like practical effects. I think that's what's really missing from a lot of movies, and that's why things like, if you watch Jurassic Park now, it looks awesome. Like, it just rules, right? And that's an old movie.
Uh,
And if you watch the new Jurassic Park, it sucks. Like, I don't like. I cannot look at it. Like, are you to tell me that I think that looks like a dinosaur? Like, it looks like a cartoon. It's ridiculous. So, I'm team practical effects. I'm hoping they all come back. Same thing, like, for horror. Like, I love watching, like, an Evil Dead movie because it's so fun and it's so creative, versus something that's just like CGI. But I personally love, like, audio dramas and books in horror because I like the visual, like, I like imagining it. To me is, I don't know if it's more palatable, but it's more, like, interesting or wiggly or scary because I don't know, I enjoy that more, like, there's a great podcast called The Darkest Night, and it's really gory horror, and that's, like, famous actors and that kinda thing.
mhm.
Um, and that was, like, such a delight for me, and that's kind of like an inspiration for Stay the Night. But, does it rely on it? I think it's all dependent on the story and the genre. It depends on what you're going for and what you're trying to say. I think it's hard to have a slasher and not have people get slashed. Like, it's gotta be there, right? That's funny, the Saw movies, I won't watch them because they gross me out, but I make my friends tell me the plot. So and then, of course, my mom called me up and she was like, "Have you heard of the movie Saw?" you know, that guy from Princess Bride was in it, so I watched it, and I was like, "Oh my god, mom, what are you doing?" She's just like,
Because
"Watch."
the guy from Princess Bride
Yeah,
was
she
sitting
was like, "Oh, I love Princess Bride."
that's, I guess a good reason to see it. Oh, it's because I like this actor. Like, kind of a different genre, but okay.
It's just funny coming from your mom. I don't know. I think it all depends on the genre. I definitely wanna encourage anybody out there who's doing, like, indie filmmaking to use practical effects, because I think they'll always look so much better, and they're more fun.
Mhm. No, and that's why it excited me about your audio drama, because it does remind me of, like, I don't know if you ever heard, like you said, Scary Story to Tells in the Tell in the Dark. I
Yeah.
remember they had the tape in the library for it when I was growing up, and you could
What?
hear someone reading. You could probably look it up
No.
on YouTube, the audio
Okay.
version of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and the
Oh.
person, whoever read it, is going like, "And then her head came off." And then, like, they're really cheesing it, but it, like, scared you as a kid,
Yeah. Those are
and
really scary stories, man.
yeah, no, for whatever age we were reading those at, like, what, 3rd grade, something like that, that
I
was really
still think
scary.
about it sometimes.
Yeah, no, they were really scary. But yeah, no, I look forward to hearing the rest of, Stay the Night. I know it's on your website, sarapolton.com.
Yes.
People can find you at Sarah Polton on
Yeah.
Twitter?
Yeah, you can find me at Sara Polton on, Twitter and Instagram, and then I also have an Instagram that's, like, just for, like, literary stuff, books. I ask, like, questions of the day, and it's called Carbs, Books, Coffee. I kind of, like, keep it off my social media because I know my family will, like, watch it every single day, so I'm always, like, trying to, like, hide it.
Hey, I know the feeling. I know, well, I'm sure you're closer to your family than me. I just don't connect with them at all. But,
Oh, they, like, Google me,
oh,
and they're,
okay.
like, always seeing what I'm doing, so they'll probably listen to this. So, hi. But yeah, if you wanna, like, follow me on Threads or, just see my daily, like, book question of the day on Carbs, Books, Coffee, on Instagram and Threads. But, yeah, otherwise, look me up at Sarah Polton, wherever, and connect with me and tweet at me. Yeah, tell me about if you've got a podcast or you've got some art that you're working on, tweet at me and tell me about it.
No, it's great. I appreciate your time today. Yeah, everyone go, check her out, her website, sarahpolton.com. I'll have all the links in the description, all that. And yeah, no, everyone check out Stay the Night. I appreciate your time so much.
Yes.
I hope, nothing but continued success for you, and,
Ugh, me too.
and,
Same to you.
well wishes to you and your child.
Thank
May
you.
you all take care,
Thank
and
you.
thank everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.